you.
Okay, we will call to order the January 25th, 2022 meeting of the Library Board of Trustees for Oconee County. And our first order of business then will be to elect the chair, who will then take over the conduct of the meeting. So hopefully you all have seen the slate of officers that the nominating committee came up with. So with that, the person that they have up for chair is Allison Addison. So with that, I will entertain a
So
vote.
moved.
We really don't even need a motion because it's a vote. So at
Yeah.
this point,
Okay.
you know, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. All right, Madam Chair, I turn it over to you.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you all for the vote of confidence. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes from our November meeting, which Blair shared with us all via email. Does anyone have any edits, or do we have a motion to approve? As written.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, the minutes are approved, Blair. We have an opportunity for public comment. Did we have any submitted?
We do not.
Okay, thank you.
We have not, or nothing was submitted to me, and we have
We have
no one here,
no friends
so.
here with us today, that's okay. Do we have, were the friends able to submit a updated report?
I do have a report from our friends of the library. They are quite busy, actually. I do not have one with me at the moment, but I can get you a copy of the winter newsletter if you'd like to see some of their activities. Their December sales with the holidays were spectacular, I can just say that. The grab bags, if you're familiar with those are those $3 bags that we have in the lobby at the Walhalla Library, that they contain a selection of books. You don't know what they are, but there's 8 or 10 or whatever, usually organized by genre, and they're all $3. They made $204 just on the grab bags in December. The other lobby books that they have there that are $3 each, they made $159. Seneca also has our Seneca library has a small display that they also sell books for the friends, and they sold 63. The Thursday sales that they were able to have in December, and they actually did, because of the way the holidays fell, they were able to have sales all the way through. They did $1,657. And their location, they have a booth which they've expanded. That's another thing that they mentioned in here. They've expanded the booth that they have in the lower level of M. Tannery and Sons, which is on Ramcat Alley. It's an antique store and that kind of thing that they have on Ramcat Alley. In the basement of that, the friends have a very nice display. And M. Tannery and Sons, they collect all the money and, you know, keep the display up and everything. Now the friends do go in and put books out occasionally or move some stuff around, but for the most part, the day-to-day running of that thing, that's her donation in kind. She collects all the money and all that for the friends. They made $2,055.
Wow.
Just at the M. Tannery and Sons, with the holidays and everything, with people being able to get out, and also, all told, for December sales, they did $4,138.81.
Nice.
So quite an accomplishment for the friends, and they, the check that they gave us, they give the library, by the way we're set up with the Friends of the Library, they give us half of everything they make. So the check they gave us at the end of December for their 6-month contribution was over $7,000.
Wow.
So the friends, with this expansion of their sales to every Thursday rather than just one Thursday a month, and with the other outlets and all that they have sought out and gotten, I mean, they are doing gangbusters. And it has really been helpful They have provided a number of things. They're gonna already provide us with this coming, with a pretty nice stipend. I wanna say it's $5,000 for this year's upcoming summer reading. They did a portion of the desk there at the Walhalla Library, which hopefully all of you have seen by now. So they're, they are really doing a bang-up job in, what they're doing, not only in the basement, but also still the other stuff that they're doing as well. So, quite a, nice boost from the Friends.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you. Committee reports, we are going to discuss in old business, kind of the updates of the committees and assignments, so we will table that for now. Chairman's report, I wanted to welcome Beverly, who is our newest member, who was voted in last week, I believe, by County Council. So welcome back. Beverly has previously served on the board, so we are very excited to have her back in service with us. I also wanted to highlight that in your packet, there's a really great graphic of the year in review that Blair and his team created. So I hope you had an opportunity to see that and see some of those really amazing statistics. And then I wanted to ask Monica to please share a little bit about a grant that associates with our Seneca branch.
Okay, thank you. As we all know, the Seneca branch had some work done by the Lake and Hills Garden Club. Well, those happen to be some of my good close friends, and I just received word that they have been awarded a National Disaster U.S. Fund grant for the work that they did at the Seneca Library as a beautification project. It was a total amount of $897.11, which is the amount of money they spent on that project, and they have tentative plans and thoughts to expand that. I guess there's some bare areas, prior to that, and they're hoping to do that, but nothing specific at this point. So, but I wanted to make sure that we heard about that because that's great. That allows them to continue, from that seed money and keep reinvesting it in the beautification project. And this National Disaster Fund was established back in 1997, so it's not like something that just came out of American Rescue or anything like that. It's been around a while. So they look for sites that had natural disasters like floods, hurricane, earthquakes, tornadoes, ice storms, and wildfires. And of course, tornado, and we also had some from the hurricane a couple of years ago too, damage. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely, yes. We appreciate the partnership and continued support that they provide. So that is all for my chairman's report. So Blair, we'll look to you for a director's update.
Okay, director's report I can keep relatively brief for you. We are, even with COVID and all, we are taking on a number of projects. I have been still working with the Carolina Family Resource folks. We are still working on having our resource center or information center at the Walhalla Library. In fact, Nivea just told me that they've pretty much received all of that. So that is very close to getting, ready to actually be installed. Also, I'm working on a grant which we will talk about a little bit later in the agenda for the Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare. And the staff, you pointed out, you noted in the statistics and all, December statistics for children's programs, and I will admit, most of what we're doing right now is children's programs. We have not restarted the book clubs. I've had some questions about that. Some of that is also due to staffing and some moves that are going to be made here pretty soon in staffing. So we have not restarted some of the book clubs for like the young adult reading and the one that they did for books and chocolate and that kind of stuff. We have not restarted those yet. So most of it has been children's programmings, but they were well attended in December. Even with the restrictions and all the stuff that's going on, they were well attended in December. And we are already, we have secured our performers for summer reading coming up this summer. And also just recently, I had a chance to talk, unfortunately Shelby and Nick are not here tonight, but I did have a chance to talk with them fairly recently, and they are proceeding with building Monarch Park behind the library at the Seneca location. So the land sort of not directly behind the library, but on the Walnut Street side of that back part of the lot. is where they're gonna be building the park, and then actually there'll be some parking and some access coming in from the Depot Street side. So they will be taking up a good portion of that. Now, they said that if, we ever get a chance to expand or relocate the library, the back half of that property more on the Depot Street side, they'll still let us have. But, I believe they have actually started doing a little bit of work over there, at least preliminary. I know as long as the weather stays nice, they're gonna be working over there a little bit more. Emily Whitmire, who's the manager there in Seneca, said they are starting to get some work done over there. We are gonna be working with them to install, sort of a little small story trail. We don't have all the details worked on that yet, like which one it's gonna be. Since it's monarchs, it'll probably be, caterpillars or butterflies or something. That kind of thing. Maybe like the very hungry caterpillar, I don't know. That was one mentioned anyway. Some of it also depends on, make sure we can get the right stuff and whatever. There's pretty nice, provisions to do like story walks and stuff as long as you don't change the story and, or, add a bunch of things to it or whatever. So they're pretty generous about just allowing you to use the book that you have to do the story walk. And so there's still a little discussion about the details of what kind and what's gonna be contained in them, and will there be even like a little code that says, okay, if you like this thing, go to the library, they have a book on it, that kind of thing. So I don't know exactly all the details yet. We just really had another sort of preliminary meeting on it this last week. But that's about to happen. And also, I will be sending a letter of support, for the city of Seneca. They are going to turn a property kind of sort of near the old Gillette Stadium into an amphitheater, an outdoor amphitheater. And it'll partially be covered, so we can have some of our events over there and things. And the nice thing about it is there's really not, with the size of our Seneca location and how small it is, there's not really a good place for us to have some of our programming, especially the kids' programming and summer reading. Still a little hot in the summer, but we can maybe look at that as an alternate venue. And of course, we will be partnering again this year with Walhalla Performing Arts Center, who's been spectacular with us. We will be partnering with Mark and them again, so that's where we will be doing our programs, our big programs again this year. So we do have the aquarium coming, and we do have the Safe Haven and Animal Adventures Rescue coming again this year. So that's my report.
Wonderful, thank you.
Claire, can I ask at this time a question or two with regards, or, late chair? The thing I took to heart a lot was, in Seneca, when they're talking about the parking lines, and that it's been 2 years. And so I ask our board members, do we need to take a more proactive stance on that? Because it is a safety issue to get the parking lot striped with parking lines. And do we need to write a letter to the council? Do we need to physically go there?
Not at this point. I think the question for our roads and bridges folks was it also gonna be able to be resealed, fill cracks and that kind of thing at the same time? And then when so many things happened with COVID, they were not getting a lot of interest or a lot of bids or that kind of thing. So I probably just need to reconnect with them, because at this point, if we're not gonna be able to get that work done anytime soon, a year ago when we were talking about this, the mindset was, well, why stripe it? And then they're immediately gonna come in afterwards and seal over that, and we'd have to do it again. Being is that hasn't been done, I just need to find out where he is, and then at that point, it's just get our either roads and bridges or facilities maintenance people over there with, cans of paint and the line markers and all, let's just get it done. So I will try to get back in touch with our roads and bridges, head of roads and bridges, and just find out where we are on that. If he doesn't anticipate getting a lot of bids on it anytime soon, or that there's gonna be any work on getting the restriping and or rather resealing and crack filling done, then we'll go ahead and get it restriped.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Under old business, we have to discuss the committees and assignments. When we left our November meeting, we sent out an email to those who couldn't be here to make sure we had all of the committees lined up. And on December 6th, everyone should have gotten an email from me that outlined who is currently assigned to the committees. We will get Beverly assigned to one as well, and give her a little time to think about which one she feels best aligns with her strengths. But we are bringing these committees back, which is, they have not been active for a long time, which means it's each of our opportunity to determine what committees will look like as we bring them back. So I encourage you, every committee has at least 2 people on it, to connect with your other committee member, and start discussing the ways that you see your committee serving the library. Of course, reach out to Blair and he can assist with that and connect us with other library staff who maybe work in specific areas. But I wanted to open up the discussion both for all of us as well as Blair if he has any guidance or thoughts or discussions about the committees and the assignments.
Well, there was, earlier at our, little drop-in that the board held, over at the Wahal Library, there was a question about, community relations. And I just let the folks know that are involved on that committee, I said, it's not something that we're necessarily going to need something all the time, but, you know, a lot of these are committees that have been there for a while. And they sort of ebb and flow depending on what the emphasis of the library is. I can tell you, for instance, like community relations was a lot more important, let's say, back during the days when we were looking to get on the referendum and get, you know, a penny sales tax referendum passed in Oconee County for a new Seneca library. And so, as much as the committee is able, because as appointed officials, there's certain things you can't do, lobbying and all that sort of thing, obviously, but as much advocacy as that committee could do and assist with that kind of thing, that was very helpful back when we were doing that. Even though ultimately it didn't go through, it was very helpful. And so community relations, that kind of thing, is just looking for opportunities to get the word out about what the library is doing, and also if there are additional partners. And when we talk about this grant a little bit later, we have several good partners that we're going to be working with. So it might be helpful if the board is able to put their weight behind it as well as staff. So for instance, community relations, while it won't be something that we need all the time, it might be that we have an opportunity for a grant or an opportunity for a new partnership or whatever. That might be a time when I would reach out to that committee, to those board members, and say, hey, it'd be nice if they also heard from the board on this, as well as just, you know, me and the staff. Policy and personnel, that, you know, that can either be, okay, just looking at our existing policies, that can be, you know, whatever in terms of, I mean, generally, like when there's a policy, the way we do it in the bylaws, of course, I suggest to you all what we do, and then, you know, you pass it and that kind of thing. The policy is in pretty good shape, that we went through and got out a lot of the older stuff and things that were not applicable anymore, changed out to where we don't have floppy disks in the computer policy anymore, and that kind of thing. Building and grounds, just like what Monica was talking about with the Lake and Hills Garden Club. Just helping out with that, and again, just like what she was talking about with this business with the parking lot in Seneca, helping us keep up with, and if necessary, building and grounds would be the one that would, you know, as you said, if it came to that, reach out and say, hey, do we need to get something done about this? Then of course finance, I mean, unfortunately we don't have, being as we are just a department of county government, you don't have a lot of input in the budget, let me say it that way, I guess. The board certainly has an oversight role. And of course, I will continue to provide the finance reports to you all, as I always do. But on that one, it's again mainly helping keep track of our donations and what's going on with the friends and that kind of stuff. And again, if it came to, did we need raises, did we need this, then that might also be a time where they would reach out to Ms. Brock or council or something and, you know, have some input. But that, it's you know, there's not gonna be constant work that needs to be done or anything, as much more than it will be when we need support. It's nice to know, rather than either just coming to the whole board or me going directly to Allison, I can always go to her and a committee chair and say, this is kind of what we need, and then that, plus, that way, if it's a committee, it's not a group of the whole, we don't have to worry about a quorum, we don't have to worry about it, falling afoul of fair meeting laws and all that sort of thing, if we're only working with a committee, then they have the latitude, the freedom to kind of work. Not that we're doing anything, we shouldn't be, or not, out in the open, but just that way it's not always in a meeting. We're not always having to take a meeting to do some of these things. That can be more behind the scenes. That's where the committees are really helpful.
So I will add to that as well that Nivi and I are the Community Relations Committee, and we've been talking back and forth. And in the description of what it is, we felt like we could be more of a support for what the library is already doing. So I'm meeting with Blair on Thursday to talk about that. What is the library already doing that we can support, and maybe fill in some gaps, because they already do a fabulous job, and we don't want to step on any toes or do anything that they don't, have a plan for already. So just to let you all know, we're working on that.
Yeah, I think we're very excited to bring the committees back and to create an opportunity for a little more one-on-one interactions and understanding of all the variety of roles within the library. So
Yeah.
thank you all for your willingness to serve on those. We also, under old business, have a review or update on the Empower Oconee activities, which I think you just referenced a little, Blair, but do you have any additional updates on that?
I can tell you that the items that, the equipment and all the stuff that was purchased under at least that particular portion of Empower Oconee, they have gone out to the branches now. We do have, some of it is still on back order, so not every branch has something yet. I know some of the branches were looking for some of their stuff and they don't have anything yet. And Bethany Owens, who is our cataloger, or Culp, I should say now, it's her married name, has done a wonderful job of getting everything cataloged. And not only that, but going through, you all passed the policies about these things, but over time, as we added something on, it was willy-nilly. Maybe the checkout time or how we did things or what the fine was or whatever for these things was different depending on the item. Also, it depended on the staff member at the time. When Phil Bergen, who was our former technical services librarian, when he was still here, I think when we did the one for the fishing equipment in Westminster, it was a 2-page thing, because it was all, if you hook yourself, it's not our fault, da-da-da-da. So what she did was go through and sort of streamline that all, and also the process for checking it out. So now, no matter whether it's a telescope, now obviously when it comes to like replacing lost or broken things or whatever, they're all different, because they're all different stuff. But when it comes to whether you check out a telescope on this form or check out a pickleball set on this form, she went through and streamlined all of it, put all the policies together in one folder. And so now for staff, the way you check all these things out, it's not just sign your name for one thing or get a copy of your license for another thing. Now, no matter what it is, the way you check it out, the process, the staff sends it out and brings it back in, all the same.
Nice.
So it's really nice. Plus, that gives us a lot of flexibility when we do decide to add something else. Baking baking pans, for example. We haven't got there yet, but that's one of the things that's been talked about.
That's cool.
All she's gotta do is, figure out a way to barcode them, or you wouldn't do that, I guess, with a baking pan, because it goes in the oven. But anyway,
A Sharpie.
oh yeah, but all she has to do is figure out a way to get it cataloged, get it in there, and the way we approach it, the way the staff does it, it's very clear, very easy for any of our staff to understand how to check this stuff out. So I give her a huge amount of credit. I mean, not only did she get all these things in the catalog, but she completely redid the way we have it. So we're working right now on a press release and all. We just want to make sure it all got out and everything was set first. We are working on a press release to get out and let everybody know that we have a lot of new equipment, and that it did come from Empower Oconee. So there's still a few things on back order. I think the pickleball sets, a couple other things are on back order. So hopefully a lot of that will come in time for the spring when people start getting out and doing more. But I know the badminton set, a couple other things have gone out to the branches already, so they do have them.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you. Under new business, we have the election of the other officers. As presented by the ad hoc committee, we do have the officer slate available. So I just want to confirm, Blair, we can just vote on those, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so for vice chair, we have a nomination for Liz. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful, welcome.
Thank you.
And for secretary treasurer, we have a nomination for Monica. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful, welcome as well. So
Thank you.
we now have our new officers for the 2022 year. So it's wonderful. And then additionally, we have the discussion of the grant opportunity that Blair has been frivolously working on this week with Clemson Rural Health. If you don't mind updating us on that.
Right, I laid it right where I could find it, and I couldn't. The Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare, they do have a library and health expansion cooperative agreement program that they have made available. There were 5 initial libraries that went in on this thing. I know Union County was one of them, and I know their director pretty well and have talked to her about the program, but there were, okay, that was in another, well, it was in a link. Anyway, unfortunately, I don't have the other systems here, but the Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare does work with 5 library systems across the state, and I know Union County is one of them. I think Lee County is another one of them. I can't remember the others, but anyway, they fund the current grant cycle will support innovative projects or programs that connect public libraries with health partners to improve access to healthcare and community care. They utilize the public libraries as sites for community engagement in healthcare, connect community members with healthcare resources, either by direct provision or referral, provide care management and connections to available social services for mental and behavioral health, monitor ongoing needs of the community, to identify methods, programs, services to meet the needs, advance health equity, and address social determinants of health as they relate to COVID-19, for instance, health disparities among populations at higher risk and that are underserved. So basically, what we are doing, what we are applying for, the folks at Clemson Rural Health over here in Walhalla came to me with an idea that we would apply to have a social worker at the library, both for case management, because we do have people that come in. I mean, we already, and we've been lucky in Oconee County, we're not seeing near as much of it, but we already are dealing with a lot of people who either have immigration issues, homeless issues, simply don't know where to turn for a particular service or that kind of thing, and they'll come in and ask us. Well, we're librarians, we do reference, that's what we do, we can help, and we generally can get them directed to the right place, but we don't know, did they take advantage of it, what was the outcome, we never know anything really more than that. And so the hope in getting the social worker / resource assistant, because not only will the social worker do direct case management and referrals and that kind of thing, but the person will also sort of become an aggregator for us. They're going to try to put together. There's a lot of agencies in Oconee County that are doing great work, but unless you happen to know about that particular agency or have been associated with them or have had assistance from them, you don't know that much about them, okay? So the other thing that this person is going to be doing for us is really serve as an aggregator to help put together sort of, you know, a referral management system or whatever. Who should you refer to when? Put together a nice list, maybe even a website for us that we can have on our website that will list where all these services are in Oconee County. Particularly focusing on healthcare. We will be partnering with Clemson Rural Health. We will be partnering with DHEC. We will be partnering with Prisma. I already have letters of support from all of them. Golden Corner Food Pantry, I have a letter of support from them, as well as the Salvation Army. I have a letter of support from them. Those are our current partners, and then one of the roles of this person will be to seek out new partnerships. One of our goals is to get at least 5 new partnerships.
United Way,
So, well, we
Yeah.
work with them some.
yeah.
We, I have been even on a group to update and make sure that 211 is all correct and that kind of thing. But with COVID and everything else, a lot of that sort of stopped. We were having a pretty regular meeting of community agencies with United Way sort of taking the lead on that, LaShawna Harrison and those folks at the United Way taking the lead on that. But with COVID, those meetings haven't happened in a long time. And we will work with them very closely, I'm sure, hand in hand. And that will be one of the things that this person will do is, you know, even if we've had a partnership with them in the past, which we have, we provide information to our community about what they're doing with the VITA, the voluntary income tax assistance and that kind of thing. In fact, I've got that many flyers and everything else to go out to our branches because they'll start doing that on February 8th. And it'll be through 211 again this year, and you can also sign up on a website that they have. That should be available after February 1st, I believe. So we're already working with them on some of these things, but there's a lot more that we could be doing. So this person can kind of take over from me and formalize these partnerships with Empower Oconee and, you know, all these other groups that we're working with. We're also gonna really try to spec it, unless we just can't get anybody, we're gonna spec this thing to where they'll be bilingual, because that will assist us with our Hispanic outreach. So instead of just information, the hope is that we go the next step, that people can also come to the library and they have somebody there who speaks Spanish, and then that will also result in direct referral, case management, that kind of thing. So we will also put that in our job requirements that, you know, if at all possible, they need to be, you know, Spanish English. So that will be that'll be in the job description. So the grant is due tomorrow afternoon at 5. I have been working furiously with Eunice Lehmacher and Karen Edwards with Clemson Rural Health, as well as my former colleague over in Union County, Rita Drinkwine, who was their director there. She kind of got a lot of this started. In fact, she was one of the ones that helped the Center for Primary Rural Health Care come up with this program with libraries. They had been seeking rural partners and they never really had considered libraries. She was one of the ones that helped get them on board with this idea of putting this whole grant together and getting it out to libraries. And she was the one who wrote one of the first grants for Union County to not only have a social worker, but do a bunch of other things that were pertinent in their county. Some of those don't apply to us, but we'll be doing a lot of it. So hopefully I've got about 2 sections left to write. Hopefully I'll have time to do it tomorrow and get everything buttoned up, nailed down. I do already have our letters of support here, so I'll have everything nailed down hopefully by tomorrow afternoon and get it submitted on time. And then they've also been very great to work with. I've actually emailed them already and asked a couple of questions about our grant submission. They've been very generous to answer back and that kind of thing. And according to Rita, they are pretty flexible. If I need to make some changes in the budget and that kind of thing, they're very, very willing to work along. So I feel good about this. I mean, it's a sort of competitive grant within each DHEC region, so upstate, Midlands, PD, and Low Country. I do know of one other upcountry library system that is applying, but I'm hoping that either there's enough money there for both of us, because we're not going to necessarily apply for the largest amount of the award, or that, you know, we have a really good shot. But I feel good about it. I hope we do have a good chance to get it. If not, we will probably continue to work with Clemson Rural Health. We might even be able to get something granted through Clemson instead, or something with all their opportunities. And we may still be able to do something very similar to this anyway, if it doesn't go through the Center for Rural and Primary Health Care. But hopefully we'll get this grant and take off with it.
God, that is just so cool.
Is that person just for Wahala, or will it be for,
No,
so that person can
it is
rotate?
countywide. They will, one of the things I'm actually putting in the budget is travel to the other branches, as well as the travel that they will need to do to go to other agencies. They'll go
Sure.
to Dot's Kitchen in Westminster. They'll go to, the United Way in Seneca. They'll go to, somewhere up in Salem as well. No, this will be through the libraries, and their primary area of operation probably will be Walhalla in terms of, they'll be based out of Walhalla. But no, they'll have hours at the Seneca branch, and they will do the whole county. We intend to just put that right there in the grant.
Awesome. Thank you for your
They will
leadership.
do
Yes,
that.
thank you so much.
Pulling
Claire.
everything together. It's very
exciting.
Well, also this kind of came to us fairly late. I had seen the grant opportunity, but I wasn't really sure what we could do. So I have to thank Clemson Rural Health in large part for bringing it to me, because they sort of reinvigorated my hope of getting something and kind of led me in the right direction with, getting a social worker. Because I've seen this grant opportunity last month, but I had pretty much told some of the other directors. Some of the other directors, we chat every week, and they had been talking about what they're doing, telehealth and a couple other opportunities. And I'd said, well, I couldn't really think of anything that we could do here in Oconee that I knew we could handle, that we could put together. But that was before Clemson Rural Health came to me and said, well, what about this? So it's really been a good partnership even already with them, even before we ever get the grant. It's been good working with Eunice and with Karen Edwards at Clemson. I really hope this goes through, because I think it's a need in the county, and I think, with this could only just, not only, some people might say, well, why is the library doing this? Why does it stay in its lane? This is what we do now.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Those people are gonna come in and look for information or need to get on the computer or do whatever, whether we have that or not, whether we have the ability to help them or not. We hope we find them the right information. We generally do a good job of being able to send them here or there, but then that's all we know to do. And if we were able to take this next step, it's just a natural thing in a rural county in South Carolina for us to be able to have these options.
And it's a 1 year? And is it?
It's a 1 year, but I've already
renewable?
been talking with rural health about figuring out a way to extend it, year
Good.
2, year 3.
Good.
Sustainability for us we've done grants in the past, we've had some really cool things happen, and then when that grant cycle is done, everybody writes their reports, that's it, and we don't want that to happen.
Right,
So
right.
we will be seeking, if county doesn't choose to fund it, or if we can't, get another grant from Center for Primary and Rural Health Care, then we'll seek other opportunities somewhere. Hopefully, we can keep this person going.
Good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's imperative, yeah.
Thank you. We do not have executive session today, so unless anyone else has another topic, we can entertain motions to adjourn.
Well, I did since if we're still in news business, I know we postponed our strategic plan to this year. Do you have a time frame that we would look at with starting that and
Yes.
reviewing it?
I think that we can put that on our agenda for the next meeting, Blair, to, if you will include the current strategic plan again in the notes that go out prior to the March meeting, to give us all an opportunity to review it and kind of have it in our frame of mind
Okay.
where we're starting from, and then we can discuss the timeline and committee breakdowns if we want to do that and all of those types of things, so.
Because
that would be
staff was
wonderful.
going to review it too, correct?
Yes, and the staff has
They have
done their
done that.
part. They have
Okay.
done their part and included timelines, and at our request have included what were COVID limitations that limited some of the goals being met versus what were some other factors and what goals were met and all those things. So we have a great staff reviewed one to
Springboard
to
off.
look at. So
And
we will.
really, honestly, we've never quit doing some of the things. I mean, this very partnership that we're trying to get, this very grant that we're trying to get really goes along with that sort of outreach and community-facing focus that we had in our existing strategic plan. So even though we're kind of outside the window already of its time frame, I mean, we're still doing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely you are. Yeah.
Yes, so that is a great
Thank
point.
you.
We will look at that, at getting a timetable together in March and getting that fresh on everyone's mind again.
We'll do.
Nice, nice.
Any other topics? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful, thank y'all.
Cool.